Rediscovering Gita for the Modern World by Shrikant Soman. Based on essays on Gita by Sri Aurobindo. Second series, Part 1. The Synthesis of Works, Love and Knowledge. Chapter 2 of second series, The Synthesis of Devotion and Knowledge. Continued from the previous episode 100, from Asuric nature to divine knowledge. Current episode 101. The three movements to spiritual freedom. From dualities to divine devotion. The union of knowledge, works and bhakti. This passage outlines the three-step spiritual journey in the Bhagavad Gita, from a life of sin to one of virtue, from virtue to a state of impersonal selfhood, and finally, from impersonality to complete devotion to the Purushottama, the Supreme Being. It emphasizes that this final stage unifies knowledge and action through a love and surrender that transcends the dualities of the lower nature. Key takeaways. Spiritual freedom begins with transcending dualities. The path to liberation starts by overcoming the delusion of dualities that arises from likes and dislikes, which are rooted in ego and ignorance. A steady sattvic life is the first step. The initial movement is to shed the sin of the rajasic ego by developing an ethical being governed by the sattvic qualities of purity and knowledge. Impersonal unity with the self is the second step. After purification, the seeker must become one with the unchanging impersonal self, which completes the process of self-purification. Supreme Bhakti is the ultimate goal. The final stage is a devotion to the Purushottama that unifies the calmness of the impersonal self with works done as a sacrifice, thus transforming action into a spiritual offering. Devotion is not a step backward after gaining knowledge. The passage clarifies that devotion is a necessary and integral part of the path, as it allows the soul to unite with the Purushottama, rather than simply merging into an impersonal state of inaction. Three movements to freedom. We now have three interconnected steps to free ourselves from our normal nature. They help us grow into a divine and spiritual being. The Gita says that the delusion of dualities bewilders all beings. This delusion comes from likes and dislikes. This is the ignorance and egoism that keeps us from seeing the divine everywhere. We only see the dualities of nature. We are focused on our own separate personality. We are consumed by our own desires and fears. From sin to devotion. To escape this cycle, the first step is to get rid of the sin of the vital ego. We must get rid of the fire of passion and the desire of our rajasic nature. This is done by developing a steady, sattvic, ethical being. When this is done, we need to rise above the dualities. We must become impersonal and equal. We must become one with the unchanging self. We must be one with all beings. This process of growing into the spirit completes our purification. While this is happening, the soul must also increase in devotion. It has to act with a sense of equality. It also has to offer sacrifice to the Lord. It must adore the Godhead in all beings. It will know this Godhead fully when it gains a firm vision of the One Self everywhere. Once perfect equality and unity are gained, a supreme bhakti becomes the sole law of being. All other laws of conduct merge into that surrender. The soul then becomes firm in this devotion and in the vow of self-consecration. This is because it now has a solid foundation. It has a perfect and unifying knowledge of the all-originating Godhead. The union of knowledge and devotion. From an ordinary view, continuing to show devotion after gaining knowledge might seem like a step backward. This is because devotion is based on personality. Its motive is the love and worship of the individual soul for the Supreme. But the Gita's goal is not inaction. It is not to merge into the impersonal. Its goal is a union with the Purushottama. The soul escapes its lower personality by realizing its impersonal self. But it still acts, and all action belongs to the multiple soul in nature. If we don't include the idea of sacrificing to the highest, we might see action as something separate from ourselves. We might think it's a remaining act of the gunas. We might see it as the last form of the ego, but by combining the calm impersonality of the self with works done as a sacrifice to the Lord, we escape the ego. We grow into our true spiritual person. We no longer live in the limited knowledge of two opposite things, the impersonal self and the changing nature. We rise to embrace the Purushottama. He is discovered through both of these powers of our being. All three are the spirit. The two apparent opposites are just different faces of the highest one. Krishna says there is an unchanging spiritual being and a changing one. But there is also a third, the highest. He is called the Paramatman. He has entered the whole world and upholds it. I am this Purushottama, who is beyond the mutable and greater than the immutable. He who knows me as the Purushottama adores me with all knowledge and in every way of his being. The Gita now begins to develop this devotion of integral knowledge and self-giving. The Gita demands a devotion with knowledge. It sees other forms of devotion as good but inferior. They are a good step along the way, but they are not the ultimate goal.